So, you have an uncanny likeness to Joe Biden. I mean,
Joe Biden.
oh my God, I love your
To
song.
whom? Thank you very much.
I love your songs.
Thank you very much.
You've been a
You too.
you've been a humanitarian your whole life, and I've always admired.
Thank you.
I mean,
Thank you very much.
you've hung out with so many great individuals, but on a serious note, you are, of course, an individual that has many talents.
Yes, I like to believe talents, or at least curiosities of some of the arts and letters. So I'm just drawn. So anyway, I guess I'm being a little humble here. I'm good at those.
And I will be right over for dinner after.
Absolutely.
Right
Swing by, man. Swing by. I'll make some pasta.
We'll leave Coronado and head on to the San Marcos area to see you, of course.
All right.
So tell me how you got into being a humanitarian, and tell me what you're recently working on, because there's so much need in the world right now, I think more than ever.
Thank you. I will begin to say, without preaching, I don't pick sides. There's always need that's different to be completely understood and separate from want. That's a need. Kids want to go to Disneyland. That's not a need kind of thing. Although you're a good dad, it is a need. I've been doing this kind of humanitarian work since the mid '80s. It started kind of in college. I used to run a program at San Diego State University that encouraged volunteerism. I was involved with the International Students Union. I was president of the campus YMCA. You just kind of get yourself involved in the community, and it kind of bleeds into you a little bit. It's like being around a bunch of guys who do dirt bike racing. After a while, you're gonna get your own bike. So I found myself doing that. I was drawn to it. I felt not that just I can make a difference, but I could be part of the cog as well, the machine, and that has to happen. When I had I'd gone to Missouri many years ago to work with the flood victims. I went with a group that's based here out of San Diego, International Relief Teams. Been volunteering with them for about 30 years. They do disaster relief and all kinds of other humanitarian work around these kinds of dynamics. So, we have a whole team working there. I did nothing special, but every day you're dedicated to improving the lives of the indigent and those who have been afflicted by some kind of chaos, And to answer the second part of your question, I was just in Romania doing humanitarian work for the Ukrainian refugees there. I went initially with a friend of mine who aligned himself with World Central Kitchen. It's an organization that was founded 20 odd years ago, maybe. Famous chef decided to help, Haiti there, figured out that it was, food was not happening. So he's a chef and brought kitchens together into these disaster relief areas, war-stricken areas. And so my particular group, invited me to come out there, come more or less like, dude, you need to come out. So I came out to Romania, initially to provide meals for not just the Ukrainian refugees, but also to people coming across the border, because they're still part of that wheel to keep the country going. Truck drivers, border patrol agents that were there, firemen that would come through. So, but while I was there, I ended up doing something that I've commonly done with my humanitarian work. I bring a guitar and I provide music therapy. And that to me was really crucial. So this particular trip in Romania, I performed for a lot of children. I brought some balloons. So every day there was balloon fights and things like that. Kids were laughing. They just came from a war-torn area, and this is what you want them to have. You want them to be reminded that all along the steps of their directions, that if they can keep laughing, things are okay. So,
have you ever experienced any? You've had a varied life. You've seen a lot of things. Have you ever experienced anything quite like the Ukraine situation?
I haven't experienced it that I can remember. Although I myself am a refugee from the former Yugoslavia. My father had spent 10 years in prison for his faith out there. After World War II, Stalin was edging his way all over Eastern Europe, and Marshal Tito, who was the dictator at the time of Yugoslavia, mandated that all men of certain age had to do military service because they were having imminent war. And so my father, being a religious person, says, listen, I can help, but I can't like kill anybody. They beat him up and they tortured him for 5 years, for the first 5 years, and the second 5 years, because when he got out, he still had to do his military service. And he's like, look, I can do this, but I can't take a gun. And they resentenced him for treason and for another 5 years. In late 60s, we got invited to leave Yugoslavia, went to Austria a couple of years, and then the United States. So what I saw in Romania along the border with Ukraine, we were far removed from the actual conflict on the outside, but we were intimate with the conflict on the inside. So when I'm hearing stories of some of these people, they themselves won't tell because there's some PTSD going on, but you're hearing it through other helpers that, they're bombing hospitals, they're bombing schools. Russia brought 3 portable crematoriums. You're just going, how is this? But, read history. When people are saying, hey, I wish things were normal, I'm going, if you read history, this is normal. I know it's heavy in this conversation, but when people are providing humanitarian assistance, they are becoming humane, essentially implying that something is happening that is not humane, that is preserving the human condition, for the betterment, So, meanwhile, what else you want to know?
No, it's captured everybody in the world,
right?
What's going on over there, which we never quite had the. We had a lot of footage of different wars throughout the years,
right,
in the 1940s and the 50s.
Sure.
Everything is so much quicker and faster, and there's so much available now because of the cell phone,
right,
and the social media.
Absolutely.
And you can't really hide things like before.
That's right. There's been, when people have access to record, you got to remember back in the day, people told stories, they painted some of the things in history, and they also wrote stories when printing became accessible. And that's relatively new to society. Think about it. It's really new in society. And so people with that have a platform that they can share the happenings of the perceptions of what's happening in their day, in their life, or whatever situation. That has changed the way we see the world for the better. And it's also sadly reminded us that a lot of history that has a dark element is still present with us. And we have 27 conflicts internationally in the world. Of the 248 countries that are recognized by the United Nations and the 198 recognized as sovereignties, there's 7,500 languages spoken in the world today, essentially saying that there are at minimum 7,500 different cultures that don't know each other, essentially. This human condition is still troubling. I had doing the Bono thing, I had a great little circumstance years ago. I met Betty White. She was the coolest. And I got to hang out with Jane Goodall, the primatologist from Africa, who, English from was in Africa. And we had a 30-minute conversation, serious stuff, some light stuff. But I asked her something that really hit me. I asked her, what is it that you know in your half century of learning about primates? She really is the leader who had brought out more knowledge, information, so that we have to actually study animals all over the world. We're not just, they're not just pets. They're not things to look at zoos. We really have to see what's happening and in their relationship to ours. So I asked her, says, what do you know that the rest of the world probably doesn't know? You might have shared it, but you didn't. But most of us don't know. She said, they go to war with each other in groups, that they murder one another, and there's cannibalism. And for whatever reasons, here we are as primates finding ways to destroy one another. But it's not, and not all of us, not you, not me, not any of that stuff. No, you know what it is? It is and I see this through history, and I tell everyone, read history, please, anything with history. Because when you become intimate with history, you become intimate with the present. So when I go back to Serbia to visit family, my parents are Romanian, the borders kept changing. My family's last name's been in the same village for more than 650 years, right?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and it's, small cemeteries, two of them, and I'm looking for family members of my last name. There's hardly anything, because to them, when you died, they buried you, and that was it. Might have had a stick, but that's it. For hundreds of years. So when you think of the hundreds and hundreds of millions of people who have come and gone, a lot of them have come in these countries that have chaos, and a lot of them have to get involved in that chaos. Russia is one of them. They've been aggressive for centuries.
Yeah.
And so people have to stop this. I tell everyone, I'm on the other side of war. It's not just providing meals and blankets and medicine. What you do is to see these people who are desperate, these people who are leaving everything they know, and it's mostly women and children. The men are staying back to still keep the country going, because you still have to harvest the wheat. You still have to deal with the plumbing, the city water, electricity, all these things. People have to be functional to show them normalcy, like a good functional normalcy. And the other great many are at war. But the ones I get, there's a pensiveness. How can I stop this? The answer is, I can't. No one can stop war. But we can stop a lot of the dynamics that create these mass elements of friction that lead us to destruction of one another. I don't swing left or right. I don't do any of that. I'm just looking back at history and saying, what makes sense? I had all these ideas. I had a sit down one-on-one with the former president of the United Nations. We still talk occasionally, right?
I think overall, I think, and I've traveled, a lot, not as much as you probably have, but I have been to different places and across the world. Mm-hmm. And I find that pretty much people are great. It's not the people that's the problem. Yeah. It's the politicians.
Right. It's the people. Just know something. Most wars that history will tell you, the underlying issue is commerce and real estate. I just left Ireland. They've been under English rule for 800 years, and almost for 100, they've been essentially free, but they had all kinds of friction. I went to Bobby Sands. He was a Revolutionary Guard, because I'm a photographer, I'm an artist, I'm a poet. I got to see all this stuff. It's very interesting. I went to Northern Ireland to this cemetery where Bobby Sands, he was a hunger striker, whose death brought, I believe, either 100 or 250,000 people to his funeral.
Wow.
In 1980. Yeah, he was. And so I'm just curious. I've got a couple of his books and a couple of his poems. It's interesting to get into the mind of prisoners, especially political prisoners, and you just kind of wonder, what is it that got them there, that the powers that be are so afraid of what this person has to say. I'm curious. But you know what? I was followed into the cemetery by Catholics that are probably protecting his grave. And this is 1980 when he died, 80 or 81. And there's 10 other guys who had died as well. So I think to myself, I'm not your enemy. How do I convey that at the very first step? Right off the bat, my brother, people need food, shelter, clothing, medicines, and then education and community involvement. And I think by and large, we can curtail a lot of the issues that we have all over the world, really.
So one problem that's going on worldwide, because the United States is very lush, and I think, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but I think
sure,
very wasteful in a lot of ways.
Yeah, of course, we are.
How's the food sources in the Ukraine and those areas that you're talking about?
And depending on where you go, whether you can get things accessible. If truckers can't get to a war-torn area, they're depending on the resources that they have there. And so our group in Romania worked with other groups just as well, as many as we could. Some groups were not collaborative at all. I want you to know something. We are tribes. Humanitarian groups are just like that. They get very tribal. Don't touch my stuff. I'm not helping you. I don't care if they need water. This is our water. We'll be the ones giving it away to others that are coming through. So, so we would pool our sources, our resources, oftentimes money, to pick up materials, mostly food and some medicines. Food and water is a must. So we will ship it into, take a 5-hour drive into Ukraine, in Odessa, where there's a drop-off point where some other group of people have a list of other little micro groups that they'll be piecing out the resources and doubling them out accordingly, not just to need, you get a bag of stuff, some dried stuff, some water stuff. They've got propane there, a lot of them. They're very industrious, agrarian people, multi-generational families with this. A lot of them have a pig or a bunch of them at the house, chickens, this and that. So they realize that they're not going to Vons, they're not going to, Costco. They don't have that there in general. They do have stuff like that. So our group would go out there and, delivering this stuff. Rarely where we were in the way of in Ukraine, there was any military action happening. A couple of times there have been some bombs or missiles that had flown in, but they were, indiscriminate. So, but by and large, it's been pretty quiet. Most of the war has been towards the east and the northeast sections of Ukraine. And Ukraine is huge. It'll go from New York City to Chicago. It's huge.
I've got a world map that I'm looking at right now that's about, and it is bigger than what people realize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll take you 12 hours minimum to cross Romania. And then if you look at Ukraine, it's twice the size. So I'm not saying it'll take you 24 hours, but a lot of the roads are kind of like Route 66 back in the day, two lane roads going through towns. That's just how it works, my friend.
So we have some video, and I think you're a fascinating individual, and you've probably been told that millions of times by now. But we'd like to show a video of you doing humanitarian work. Is that okay?
Okay, yeah, of course, please do. And I'm hoping it inspires others. Just do something.
You're very inspirational. I'm sure they'll be.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I don't know. Okay. We're behind the kitchen here. Oh, no, not behind the kitchen. In the kitchen here. And I want to show you the kind of stuff we're making here. We've got sauteed chicken and some pork because Eastern Europeans are a lot of meat eaters. We have also, look at this, big old hunk of pot of vegetable soup. And if you know anything about me, I make sizes like this at home and I feed people. We got gloves. There's our volunteers, and also we make potatoes. We are Eastern European, so potatoes. So we got a pretty good kitchen going on here. Simple propane gas, and we got some folks sitting at tables there. There's a staff there. We're all kind of waiting. Today is Sunday, day after Easter, so very, very slow group of people have come through. But we feed the volunteers here. There's probably 30 or so veterinarians, vet techs, people representing SaveTheDogs.eu. We've got World Central Kitchen that we're a part of here, and a few other organizations. Habitat for Humanity is here. So I want you to know something. When I went to the store, bought a lot of food and other supplies, toiletries, things that we needed, that I crowdfunded. One of the things I bought was sriracha. At first, they're like, "What are you doing that?" I said, "Oh, you gotta have some spice. I'm from Southern California. You gotta have spicy food." They're like, "It's almost gone." Bring a little Southern California to the refugees and the volunteers. The world is always dynamic, whether we like it or not, but
a lot of us are trying to make it better. So we spread the love.
Wow.
All right.
First of all, may I say, I'm hungry because the food.
Yes. Oh, listen, that was great. It's like cardio asada fries. You do it for 2 days, you're just going, oh no. Oh no, you're just done. I was there for 6 weeks and I'm just going, oh Lord have mercy. Come on, Jesus. Don't these people eat anything else?
That soup looked amazing.
Yes. And I make sizes like that because I'm from a big family, 11 kids. So I make big quantities of stuff and I freeze it. And friends are sick, I'll deliver Pavel's famous Yugoslavian chicken vegetable soup.
What would you tell people out there that maybe want to do something but they don't know what to do? What would you advise them, or what would you suggest?
There's an organization out there called charitynavigator.org. Navigating charities. It's just, they rank about 10,000 different nonprofit groups that have a budget of $1 million or more. Find something you like. Find something that'll bring you a sense of comfort, a sense of fulfillment, a sense of just contact them and do something. Don't do anything that you just think you're helping out, because sometimes you're not. Sadly, a lot of organizations are run like businesses, and there is a lot of business kind of dynamics. Sometimes impropriety, sometimes things like that. So, just because the word nonprofit is attached to their name doesn't mean that they aren't a business. And I saw a lot of that, not just this time, but over the decades of doing work. And so what I tell people is this: find a group that's doing something cool that you like and you want. Attach yourself to a person or two, take them to lunch and ask just honest questions. Because oftentimes you'll go there, you want to work with animals, you'll be, scooping up poop, horse poop, goat poop. That's your job. Just show up. So they don't have to pay someone else to do it, or let alone they don't do it. But if it really brings you a sense of goodness and comfort, don't do it alone. Bring some of your friends. And when you get old and gray, if we're still around, you look back and say, hey, you remember that time when we worked at this animal shelter for a summer? I said, yeah. Who knows? But yeah, every time people engage in making the world better, what they're doing essentially is shaving a small fragment of their own ego that is the reason that makes things worse. We're
going to have to meet and eat.
Okay.
A couple people, of course, Cynthia says hello to you.
Hi, Cynthia. Ciao.
Veronica Baker would love to get in touch with you and
okay.
says, do you know where I can reach him? And I don't know what she wants to talk to you about, whether it's what's cooking or what you cook.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, it's interesting doing the Bono thing. I do get a lot of people reaching out to me for some personal, I'm on cameo.com, doing videos, personal videos for people. There's a fee involved, but
wow,
but
that would be a great humanitarian.
Yeah, I do a lot of that. I mean, I'll share this quick story, and then I'll go back to my original thought here. When I was in Ireland, I walked around Dublin quite a bit, and I go to some of these. Dublin has changed. Dublin is very, very, very un-Irish with the population there. Yes, I was asking people if they were Irish. I mean, I speak other languages. I've seen different people. You see the gypsies. I start speaking Romanian to them. You can hear Italian spoken. You can hear Spanish spoken. You can hear German spoken. A lot of East African, Central Africans there. Bangladeshi are there. East Indians are there. And so, it's not just the tourists, but people actually live there. A lot of Brazilians, because when the economy had rose up in the early 2000s, they had to bring people in to provide services. So a lot of these people, from Poland, for example, which is 10% of Dublin, they're the ones waiting tables. They're the ones who are serving you coffee. A lot of them stayed for, 15 odd years. And Svetlana has got an Irish accent.
You sound like a big hodgepodge.
Yes.
Right.
So, yeah, but while I was doing that, I'd go to these restaurants, I'd have Afghani food or Egyptian pastries, and we'd have conversation. and people come in, take photos of me as Bono. And then I said, listen, this is really good. Let's do this. Let's do a little video with your phone, and then you can post it on Instagram or social media and just say, look who walked in today to so-and-so Ella's Bakery off of Talbot Street in Dublin, Ireland, city center, right? It's not a big thing, but it seems to garner some attention. But it's a small little thing I can do to help the small man, especially like the owner op business, you know.
Sure.
That's how it works. And so I do things like that just for nothing.
Well, I look forward to meeting you in person.
Yeah,
and we actually have some more video of you performing for
Okay.
Right. Are you okay with this?
Of course, man. Absolutely. Let me laugh at myself.
Oh, come on. You're phenomenal.
You know how it is.
Oh, you're awesome. And I'm glad that I've heard a lot of nice things about you. And
oh, great.
You're very authentic.
They're all fake. Fake news. I heard Donald Trump say it. Yeah, I'm fake news. None of it's true. I'm talking to you from prison.
Let's show the video of this.
Okay.
Beautiful man doing all this great stuff that he does.
All right, thanks.
You say there was a secret chord.
Oh shit.
Did it play and it pleased the Lord? But you don't really care for music, do you? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, and the major lift, the balcony, the closing, hallelujah, 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 Your faith was strong, but you needed proof. I saw her standing on the roof, and her beauty and her moonlight overthrew you. She tied you to a kitchen chair, she broke your throne and she cut your hair, and through her lips she grew the hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. They say there is a God above. All I ever learned from love was how to choose somebody who outgrew you. Love is not a lover's march. Love is not a victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you back. I'm glad you're moved by stuff like that. That's empathy is huge, man.
You know, your music it hits the soul. I can feel your vibe and your energy, and it's good stuff, man.
Thank you.
It might be as good as your soup.
You can only get two or three bowls of my soup before you go, okay, I had enough of it. You might get 4 or 5 songs that I made. So we'll see. Well,
we look forward to meeting you in person, and everybody can get a hold of you at your website there.
Yeah, Bono Double. You can find me also on social media. I'm not on Instagram that often or Facebook that often, but I'm accessible. LinkedIn. Okay, so we'll see how that all works out just as well. So
Well, again, we look forward to meeting you in person. We can see you, or you can come visit us in Coronado. Either way,
I'd love to.
Maybe we could do some humanitarian things together.
Sure. Are we done here?
Well, we're not done. Did you want to say so? Did you want to say something else?
No. I just didn't know how long this podcast was going, and I just
think we're on 20 minutes, and we've gone to 30 because you're not the average guy. I mean, you have you've got a lot of very interesting things going on.
Thank you.
But is there anything else you'd want to tell anybody out there?
I'm happy to be back home. Mark Twain said years ago that to cure ignorance, you've got to travel. That does it every time. There was a lot of challenges on my. I've been gone for almost 4 months. Not all the time I was in Romania doing humanitarian work, but your living situations, your toilet situations, your shower situations, getting decent coffee, like fresh food, things getting stolen. You've got to schlep around. It's muggy. There's oodles of dogs barking where you're at, and all kinds of things happen. But just know that you keep your eye on the prize, that you're doing this for humanity, that subtle discomforts are a very small measure for the vast conflict you're addressing on the other side. And when you put those things in perspective, you're reminded that humanity comes from within. And if you want to be a part of that, you got to make an effort. Like, cut out crap. Really, cut out the bullshit in your life. Really, people that are energy suckers, toxic, let them go. Send them to Jesus. He takes them. You can put them in FedEx boxes alive first.
I thought you were going to say, get a wooden stake and drive it through their heart.
Nah. So, everyone, I believe everyone by and large has a level of redemption. So I want to thank you all for having me here. It's been good. I'm curious about the world. I want to tell stories of what I know, and I know them in detail. And forgive me if I've spoken too much, but there's so many details. I don't want to be boring. I don't want to be vague, and I want to be alive.
Can you end this note on a song that Bono sings that maybe, other than the one we just heard, really is a humanitarian type?
I've got a few of them, but I'll just do one that everyone knows here, if that's okay. It's kind of along what you're asking. Is it getting better? Do you feel the same? Will it make it easier on you now? You've got someone to blame. You say one love, one life, just one need in the night. One love we get to share it. Leaves you better, son. Don't care for it. There's more of the song.
That's one of my favorite songs.
Great tune. And unfortunately, it was a song about them breaking up. And you know what? They're still together, so it didn't work.
No, they're too good.
This is producer Sarah. I had to butt in because you're amazing.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. I wouldn't go that far, honey. I would go.
Oh my gosh!
The amazing part is later.
Well, actually, we have two of your past girlfriends sitting here that would want to talk to you.
Well, that must have been a long time ago. That's been ages. I got no one loving me that way. Sad.
So you are amazing, and
thank you so much. Thank you.
You made our week, actually. And anybody else watching out there, this gentleman is amazing. He's doing great things. He's inspiring. He has heart, and he has a lot of love that he puts out in everything that he does. He's not a fake. You can tell it's legit. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, and I'm glad I'm the best part of your week. But there's still two more days left. So,
hey, Pavel, we're coming for soup. What are you talking about?
Bring it on over, honey. Bring the appetite. Bring some good bread. That's a deal.
We're going to bring you to the island and take you for some Italian food.
I love Italian food. All right, guys. Ciao, everyone. Thank you. An honor to be on your show.
An
Thank
honor
you.
to have you here. And of course, my
Thank you.
sponsors. What a wonderful show. And this gentleman's amazing.
Great.
Of course. Attorney King, thank you so much. Saquon Casino.
I
and Resort.
know him. I know Attorney King.
He's one of the best.
Yeah. But I know both him and his brother. Anyway, go on.
They're great guys. And
Yes.
of course, Marina Teal with IB Fitness. And last but not least, Marco, a Bono at the garage, where we want to take Pavel to have a nice Italian dinner.
Yes.
Thank you, Marco. And we look forward to seeing all of you.
Ciao, Marco.
Everybody, take care of yourself. Be nice to each other, and yippee-ki-yay.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.